left yesterday. We were at the WordPress.
I'm sorry, Sanjay, I can't see this link though.
In the chat window, aren't you able to see?
Yeah, I'm not able to.
Have you got it?
No, not yet.
Okay, just hold on. I'm placing it again. Now?
Yeah,
Alright.
now I see it. Yeah,
Alright.
thanks.
So in order to log in into the admin section, enter the URL where you have installed the application slash wp hyphen admin. So this is the admin dashboard. We were seeing how to work with the widgets, how to work with the theme, the menu items. Compared to Blogger, WordPress is more sophisticated, especially for dynamic websites. WordPress is recommended. But you want to just have one way information. You provide information regarding your company and you want the end user just to read it, know about it, then Blogger would do. You want to maintain a site where your motive is just to make income with the ads, you can continue with Blogger. So WordPress is generally used in case you want to have some functionality, a dynamic site which has got you in a database. The most interesting option in WordPress is the plugins. It is because of plugins WordPress is very popular. Like in your Android mobile, we have Play Store. In Apple phones, we have iTunes. Likewise, in WordPress, we have got plugins which will add the void created by the themes. There may be some of the features missing in the theme. Let's say that I've installed an e-commerce theme, but it does not have an online payment facility. It may not be having the zooming effect. It may not be having the add product to wish list. There may be a beautiful theme, but the slider is missing. Live chat is missing. Enquiry form is missing. So whatever are the missing features in the theme, you can get them through plugins. So these plugins are same like your Play Store, where whatever that you wish to have the requirement, you can get through the plugins. There may be several plugins meeting your requirement. I'll tell you how you have to decide which plugin to install. So just one line regarding the plugins. Plugins in WordPress. So they are the small plug and play applications to add So in order to use a plugin, what I do is go into the plugin section, add new. So here you can search for the plugins. These are all some of the popularly used plugins. There are millions of plugins present in WordPress. There are another million present outside WordPress. So some plugins are there which private agencies are selling it, compatible with WordPress of course. So whichever are the missing features, you got to read that, see whether it is meeting your requirement and then install. Doesn't meet your requirement, after installing you are not satisfied with it, you can uninstall and go for another one. The only problem that you will face, let's say that I want to have live chat feature. There are several plugins on live chat. This problem you are going to face even in Play Store. Let's say that I want to install some app in Play Store relevant to, let's say, Indian Railways. So as I search with Indian Railways in Play Store, I find several hundreds of apps. How do you decide which app to install? We look at how many people have installed it, we look at the ratings, and we read the description to understand whether that particular app is meeting our requirement or not. The case is same even for the plugins. When you click on details, you'll get to know what exactly this plugin is meant for. Look at the number of people who have rated this number as well as what they have rated. Both of these should be high. Number of people who have installed the app should also be high. So these are the three things that you need to look at. How many people have rated, what they have rated, and how many people have installed it. Then you can go into the details to find out whether it is meeting your requirement or not. So many plugins are there. 894 plugins only on live chat. But any plugin you have installed, you don't like it, uninstall and install a new one. I want to have OTP authentication. So many plugins for OTP. Phone number with email, with SMS. So how many? There are 79. Let us use a plugin. I want to have a contact us form. So many plugins are there for contact us. So contact us. We give a space. So all these are the plugins relevant to contact form. Let's see how do we use it. So any plugin, firstly you got to install. Then activate. You'll be getting that plugin option on the left side. So this is a plugin that we have installed. After going through the features, here we have got an extra option. After going through all of that, you see that it is not suitable to you. You can deactivate and then delete it. Firstly deactivate, then delete. Install another plugin. Like this, you need to go with the trial and error method. So let us see how do we use it. Any plugin how to use will be mentioned in the settings. I click on dashboard. This is a short code. If I place this code anywhere in the page, in that particular place, the contact form will show up. But what and all it has got, click here. Okay, so this is what is the default fields in the contact form. Name, email, message, that's it. But I want to have custom fields. So what I'll do, I'll build another form. Add new. Contact us form. There has to be options here. These are the three fields. I want to add another field, so form fields. Okay, here plus. Because the plugin is new, it may be little difficult to operate, but if you go through, you'll find the options, relevant options. When you purchase a new mobile, it will be very difficult for you to operate it, but as and how you are using it, you will get used to it. Plugins is also the same case. Themes are also the same case. Options are there, you need to find out what is going where. You got to explore it little bit. So many fields you can add in your contact form. You want to have, let's say, date of birth, then calendar control you can have here. You want to have a checkbox, what all courses you are interested in. Let me use this. Then like this. Then I want to have, let's say, something for first name, last name. No, name is here. I want to have country. And then email is there. Phone number. Done. I want to label this as if it is a mandatory field, you can select it. By default, you want it to be selected or unchecked. Up to you. Done. Once that my form is built, I click on publish. Now that I refresh my page, you will be seeing those extra fields. You can even assign this URL in the menu. You can have a menu item as contact us and provide the link to this particular page. Yesterday we have already discussed how to have custom links in the menu. So let me fill this form. We have added extra checkboxes. Okay, just ignore it. Click on submit. Let's see if I have received the mail. You can even have a thank you message. Form submitted successfully. Confirmation. Mail was sent to sanjeev250@gmail. Yes, we have got the mail. Okay. So that's this how we can send the messages. Now, there may be other forms where you can even have an option to upload the profile picture and all that. So you need to find out. Firstly, we'll be doing research into Google to find out contact form or profile updation form. So install that plugin and then see, test it yourself, whether it is user friendly, whether it is meeting your requirement. Well and fine, you can continue. Not, then you got to uninstall and install another plugin. So plugins is all about like installing and uninstalling till it meets your requirement, till you are satisfied with it. I want to have an online payment system. For that, the best plugin is in India, PayUmoney. You got to have an account in the payment gateway. So I go to plugins, add new plugin. There's a payment gateway called as PayPal. So in case you want to accept online payment internationally, PayPal is suitable. 1500 plus plugins are there. You want to integrate your AdSense account in the admin dashboard. There are a lot of plugins for it. So once that you have installed this plugin, you'll be able to see your earnings here in the admin dashboard itself. Do not have to log in into Google AdSense. Very easily you can manage the ads here. 973 plugins are there on AdSense. Online payment. So many plugins are there for online payment. But specific to India, the best plugin is CC Avenue. These are all the payment gateway. These are CC Avenue, where the end user may pay using net banking, credit card, debit card, Paytm. So many options will be there for the end user. What's the meaning of a payment gateway? Payment gateway will provide an interface to the end user where he can choose any payment method, but the amount will get linked directly to your associated bank account. So you may be having account in HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, maybe Kotak Bank, but the end user may wish to pay using debit card, credit card or net banking of various other banks. Payment gateway will provide the facility to link n number of payment methods to your single bank account. So firstly, you got to open an account in CC Avenue if you want to use CC Avenue payment gateway. The popular ones are CC Avenue as well as PayUmoney. PayUmoney charges are very reasonable. These are payment gateway that you can use. Once the payment gateway is installed, the plugin is installed, it will be asking you for the account details. I already have an account in PayUmoney. Let me show you how it looks like. In order to open an account, directly you can go to PayUmoney. Payu.in. So this is a new address we have. Here you got to sign up as a partner. So the charges are free, meaning the setup fee is free, but transaction charges will always be there. That is 1%, 1.5%, 2% depending upon the payment method the user is choosing, depending upon the type of credit card or debit card. But if you negotiate, they can bring down the price to even 1%. So if the end user is paying, let's say 10,000 rupees, you will only get 9,900 in your bank account. 100 rupees is what they will eat away as a service charge for the security. And they have got all the prestigious clients. Look at their partners. They are all the partners. Zoho, Magento, Shopmatic, Tally. So need not worry about the security at all. You will require PAN card as well as an active bank account before applying an account in PayUmoney. Aadhaar card is also must now, and for some type of business even GST registration is mandatory. After application, within 3-4 days, they are going to send you the documents to your registered postal address. You got to sign them, courier them back. So the entire process will take around 1 to 2 weeks. Once that account is approved, they will be sending you the details of the payment in the email, which has got merchant ID, merchant key, merchant salt. So any payment gateway plugin you install, these three values will be required. These are like the API keys. Once you have input these three values, then just you got to place a short code like we have seen for the contact us form. Like that for online payment also there will be a code. Wherever you place this code in that particular place, online payment button would appear. So how those values would look like, let me show you. Long back I applied it and I have an account in PayUmoney now. $2,014. So these are the three values we require. You get these values only once your account is approved in PayUmoney. And once these three values are set into the plugin, the online payment system will work perfectly with utmost security. You need not worry about any kind of credit card hacking and all that. That is all their headache. They are charging 1% for that kind of security itself. So don't worry about the security features of the plugin. It's already authorized by RBI. And for international payment, PayUmoney will work only for local accounts. So for international, PayPal is the best. So PayPal is now directly linked to your bank account. It is like UPI address. So end user may choose to pay using various methods, but automatically the amount will get credited to your bank account. It doesn't get credited immediately because why payment gateway is required? Whoever has purchased the product, he may choose even to cancel. After he cancels the order, automatically the payment will get reversed. That's why any payment gateway like PayUmoney, they will hold the payment for 30 days to see whether the transaction is genuine or not. In case of a fraud transaction, it will automatically get reversed. The amount will be in locked mode. After 30 days only, it will get unlocked automatically and it will get transferred to your bank account. So the payment is on hold for 30 days in PayUmoney. In some payment gateway, it is on hold for 45 days also. But as they see that they gain the trust over your company, they can reduce the payment hold time to even 15 days. For that, you got to negotiate with them. But initially, 30 days for any new businesses. CC Avenue is little expensive. I would not recommend this. Now it is zero setup fee. Before he was charging 25,000 plus the transaction charges are very high. Privilege will be 30,000, 2% for debit card, net banking and all that. For UPI payment 0, MasterCard, Visa card, credit card, international 3% and even 5%. Of course, all these charges are negotiable, but even then, the charges are on the higher side. Integration is all free. Now this is negotiable. You got to directly talk to them in case you are going with 30,000 one-time setup fee. This is not yearly, this is one time. So they are going to integrate this payment system into your website, free service, as well as the charges are negotiable there. I recommend PayUmoney, much better than CC Avenue in terms of the charges. There are so many such payment gateway, but these two are most popular one. You will find plugin for every payment gateway. Now payment gateway set, let's say e-commerce theme also you have installed. Now while that you are uploading the product, only images will be required. You can easily grab the images from Google. You want to sell Samsung Galaxy S12, you'll find a lot of images into established e-commerce site. You can use the same images even in your site. So someone will enter into your site, he will purchase the product, you'll be able to see that in the option here, product, what and all orders you have got. With all the details of the customer, his email ID, his postal address, whether the payment was successful or not, what method he has used for the payment, invoice, everything would come here. But you got to now deliver the product to the end customer. So for an e-commerce site, how will you manage? And what price do we need to quote? Initially, In the initial stages, you may be having an e-commerce site with full-fledged features, but sales may not be there, or there may be very few sales. So there's no point in approaching to the manufacturer or the distributor or the dealer. They are not going to entertain you because they want commitment, so many sales per month. Even over all that, they are not going to give you competitive prices like what they are offering for the established e-commerce site. And I told you, if you want to gain an edge, your price have to be cheaper than the established e-commerce sites. Then how will you manage this e-commerce site? I've talked about the affiliate program. The trick is out there for an e-commerce site. You got to first find out any product that you want to offer, maybe books or anything. Compare this product price in several e-commerce sites. Mainly there are 3-4. You have Paytm, you have got Tata Click, you have got Amazon and Flipkart. So compare the product prices in these 4-5 established sites. Whatever is the cheapest price, you quote 1-2% cheaper than that. Example, I want to offer Samsung Galaxy S12 in my e-commerce site. So what I'll search? S12 lowest price in India or price compare in India. There are several sites which will be comparing the price. $73. Okay, this is not yet come into the market. Let's see for S11 or S10. Reliance Digital, it is 35,999. Tata Click 33,999. Amazon 37. Amazon 34,000. Different model. So let's say Tata Click is offering it for the lowest price, which is 34,000 approximately. Now I got to put a price which is cheaper than this. Maybe 33,500. First of all, mobiles is not a category that we need to target. I'm just giving an example. Maybe books or maybe shoes, whatever. Quote the price which is cheaper than the cheapest website. So only if I offer this product for 33,500, there is a scope of sale. Now question is, how can we sell the product for a cheaper price? It would be a loss for us. The end user may pay only 33,500 and what you are going to get in your account is only 33,200 approximately, because 1% payment gateway charges. Once that you have got an order, which you will be able to see in the admin dashboard with all the details of the end user, his mobile, his email, his postal address, you are going to go to that site where it was the lowest price, let's say Tata Click. You go there and you purchase the product on behalf of the customer after the order is confirmed in your website. Immediately I'll go to Tata Click and I'll purchase the product, giving the details of the end customer. What will happen? The product from Tata Click will directly go to my customer. Now is the customer satisfied? Of course he has to be, because what he has paid is 33,500, but the invoice what he has got is 34,000. The courier, GST, firm registration, all that you don't have to take headache at all. You are only acting as a broker in between. Yet you are giving a better price to the end user. So from user satisfaction perspective, there's no doubt, because he knows the price in Tata Click was 34,000 approximately, but he got the same product for 33,500, though he purchased from your site, which is abcshopping.com, maybe not an established site at all, but he has got a product from a renowned website. So customer satisfaction point of view, no doubt at all. But then, so what about the loss that we made? Here we gave a discount of 500 rupees because we paid to Tata Click 34,000. Customer paid us only 33,200 after the charges. 800 rupees loss. How will I be able to recover that? So the idea here is we are not going to purchase in this site directly. We are going to purchase this product through the affiliate link. And easily affiliate programmers will pay you a commission of 2%, 4%, 5%. For some products even 10%. Even if they are paying 3% commission, we would be making more than 1000 rupees. So effective cost for us is only 33. What we got is 33,200. So though we have offered the product for the lowest price, we have yet made 200 rupees profit. Best part is easy entry into this business. No GST registration, no form registration, nothing is required. Because we are only bypassing the sales. Once that you have got a lot of sales in your hand, then you can go to the dealers or the distributors and show them, see, this is the commitment that I can give. This is what is the performance of my website. And then you can negotiate with the discounted price. The other advantage that you can take is, most of the time, these sites will offer you kind of cashback and all for selected credit card, debit card or net banking accounts. If that is there, then that's a bonus amount that you can make. So we are directly giving cash discount to the user, but in case they are running any kind of offer, these sites, so what is the discount we get, that will add to our net profit. So initial stages, this is how you need to operate an e-commerce site. Zero inventory costs. No form registration required, nothing. And only cost to you would be the theme, e-commerce theme, domain and hosting, which is less than 5,000 rupees altogether. And maybe if you are able to generate a lot of sales with the selected categories that I told you for e-commerce, which I like. Even the site Flipkart was started by the Bansal brothers, Sachin Bansal, Binny Bansal. They also did not expect that the site would become so big. They started with just 4 lakh of investment. Talk about Jack Ma, Alibaba.com. Even he never thought in his life that the site would become so big. So any e-commerce site, in the initial stages all look the same. But then the luck plays out and the consistency, hard work, and then as the technology updates, they also upgrade it, the speed wise or the customer satisfaction point of view. So if you are able to meet all this, then definitely your site could also scale up. Now, there is an other model in e-commerce site which is of more interesting to me. This model which I am going to talk about is an asset light model. Now this one is done. If you want to run an e-commerce site like a conventional site, then this is the way that you got to do it. Later, when your site becomes popular and you're directly dealing with the manufacturer, you got to take the godown space, you got to register your firm, but then you'll be getting at a much cheaper price, whatever that you're selling. But there's another model how exactly the Alibaba operates. World's biggest e-commerce site is Alibaba, followed by Amazon. Now, what is the difference between the business model of Alibaba and Amazon? Though both of them are into e-commerce, it is like a difference between the Meru cab as well as Ola Uber. The biggest automobile company in the world is Uber, who does not have even a single car of his own. Could you ever imagine this? 10 years back, had I told you that the biggest automobile company in the world will be that company which does not have even a single car, single vehicle. But today this is fact. There is no asset value to Uber, only website. All the office spaces are rented. Hardly they have got any employees. WhatsApp, there are only 55 employees in WhatsApp. And worth of WhatsApp is more than 5 lakh crore. So these are all asset light businesses. Only 50 employees in WhatsApp, but managing a 6 lakh crore company. Likewise, even in Uber and all, it is only owning a website as well as an app. A website is only a static site. It is an app, mobile app worth is 6 lakh crore. So why Uber valuation is so high? And just in a span of 10 years. The best part in online business is the scalability. Your business does well in Hyderabad, you can scale it to India. Does well in India, you can scale it to Asia. Does good in Asia, you can scale it to the world. There's no expansion cost. Only for server upgradation you need to pay. Uber is one such model. Uber does not have a different app for America or UK or India. He has seen that the model of the business is doing well in one country. He has hired some investors with a very high valuation spread over all across the world. Now compare Uber business to Meru. I am sure you must have heard about the word Meru. The only giant in taxi was Meru in India. His 50% businesses was coming from airport rides. I remember 10 years, 8 to 10 years back, had we gone to airport, half of the cars were of Meru, that light green color car. Now you will not find it all. The company is at the verge of bankruptcy. What happened? That a company with 4,000 cars fleet operating in all the metro cities in just a span of 5-6 years is at the verge of winding up the business. Why Uber has become a threat to it? Though both are the taxi hailing app. The difference in the business model is Meru is heavy asset business. What Meru does? He purchases the car. He tied up with Mahindra and he purchased some 4,000 cars of Mahindra Logan at a discounted price, maybe 1 lakh rupee discount could be. Then branding of Meru and all that, started offering the cab service at 14 rupees a kilometer. Was doing well because no competitor at all. He was the only player. Even at 14 rupees a kilometer, his business was doing good. Then he had to hire 4,000 drivers, taxi drivers, pay them salary. Every day, imagine today that I purchase 4,000 car and hire 4,000 drivers. Every minute there will be complaint. The car broke down, the tire got punctured, the driver met with an accident, this driver did a mischievous work with a girl. So I will not be able to sleep coolly. There will be always a stress because this is all your responsibility because the company is yours. Any case is to be filed, directly will be filed on you. That is your responsibility of the drivers as well as the cars. Second headache, where to park. Lot of time the driver do not come on time. Drunk and driving cases. Then you got to pay for the maintenance of the car. And lot of these drivers, they'll run the car for their personal use and they'll say that the mileage is very less. So you cannot track all this. There's lot of burden of cost. So overhead cost is high and then the employees do not come on time but their salary is fixed. Over that you have to pay them incentives. And then you require double cars because you can't have a single car and run with shifts. Morning one driver, evening other driver. That's not possible. So during night time, he had a dedicated cars for it. So it is not cost effective at all. What Uber did? Uber said that I am not going to have even a single car. I just have this app. He started his entry in India from Bangalore. He went to a shopping mall and he introduced to one particular person randomly. Said, this is my app. Please install it. He installed it. He hired a driver. He said that I want a driver who has got his own car. So he could find one such driver. He installed an app there, connected both of them, explained them how to use the app. So this particular guy wanted to go to home from the mall. So he just selected the cab there, only one cab that time. The driver took the ride, reached the destination. Whatever was the bill generated, Uber promised him 80% of this bill is all yours. You are not an employee to me, you are my business partner. The driver was very excited. 80% of the bill is mine. Uber's share of profit is only 20% share of revenue. Now, what driver thought is that if I work with a company like Meru, I get a fixed salary of 15,000 or maybe 20,000. Here the car is mine, of course, but every day, even if I complete 15-20 rides, I can make more than double than what the Meru is offering me. Now for Uber, it is always a win-win deal because there is no overhead cost to him at all. So he started his business in this way. He gave free ride offer, burnt cash because he had got a lot of cash from the investors. He told the driver, you get me one more driver like you, I'll pay you 2% of what he's earning. He told the guy that however you have took a ride, this ride is free for you. You introduce one more person, first ride free for him, another free ride given to you. So 1:2, 2:4, 4:8, spread across all over India in a matter of few months. No doubt company might have burnt 500, 600 crore cash. But then that got him a strong entry barrier. Meru already started feeling the vibes that he is no more going to exist in this business. So like this it continued. Today, more than, just look at the number and you'll be stunned. How many Uber rides per day in India? $3.65 million. Where is it? Ola, Uber growth in 4.8. Okay, 3.65 million in the past 6 months. 36 lakh rides. Even on an average of 100 rupees a bill, 20% you take it. So 20 into 36 lakh. That is what is their revenue. Now what is the cost for it? Nothing. Now advantage to Uber because what he says, now what driver thinks, even though I do not have a car, let me finance a car. Because easily I am able to make 50-60,000 from Uber and in his convenient timing. A driver can switch on the app, his life. He wants to spend time with his family or is engaged in other work, pause it. Car is his own. Mileage, fuel, everything of driver. Parking of driver. Uber is only providing a platform, that is it. So no inventory, no maintenance. So no need to pay any kind of salary. During the pandemic when the business is down, it is not a loss to Uber at all because you're not paying any fixed salary at all. So a driver is free to go anywhere he wants. He can make use of the car for his personal use or may work under Uber when he wishes to. Maybe today he wants to work in night shift, tomorrow in the morning shift. Any ride he does not want to take for a long ride, he can ignore the ride, ignore the request. So it's a win-win deal for everybody. Better for the consumer. Why? Instead of 14 rupees a kilometer paying to Meru, we can just end up paying 7-8 rupees a kilometer. They are all working on volumes. So by that way, this had become a kind of disruption for Meru. Later, he also tried to deal all this, but whatever that cost that he had to take the loan from the bank while he started the business. He is not even in a position to pay the EMIs now. Simple words, he is quite late. At one point of time, the world's biggest company was Kodak. The camera was initial, when the digital camera was built, it was as big as an entire room. Today it is as small as 1 inch in your mobile. Technology disruption, and today Kodak is at the verge of bankruptcy. So if you are not able to adapt your business according to the changing needs, then one day you'll have to face this kind of fate where your company may totally become zero, even though you might have scaled your business to a very high level. So understanding the changing needs is very, very important. Today, Google has become such kind of monopoly that it does not have even the nearest competitor. That's why the valuation is 160 lakh crore. It has become part of your life. You believe it or not. What your life mate may not know, Google knows it. What is your taste? What do you do? Everything is being monitored. So a day will come where what and all you are talking, even that will also get recorded. It's very easy for him. But because of the data privacy and all, he's not able to do it. But maybe one day he will get to know that. So your entire day conversation like Big Boss will get automatically recorded. So it will become like your big boss, which will become very easy to solve the crime cases and all that, if government permits against the data privacy. Some countries have allowed it. He has got an inbuilt translation tool. Even though you are communicating in the local language, he can make out what is your need. So good enough for him to track the people and their needs and accordingly target the ads which are relevant to your interest. So that way, that is going to be a game changer. So the day the government allows, each of the country government allows that you can enter into the personal life of the people, Google is going to become superpower. So whether that day will come or not, time will tell us. But even today, Google is a monopoly. Alright, so if you want to run this kind of model, Alibaba is this model. Amazon has got an huge inventory. Flipkart or Amazon, they have inventory in the east, west, north and south of India. Now imagine how much of cost burden. To maintain a godown, they have to pay huge rent. They have to pay for the insurance. They have to pay for the security guards, employees, human resource, machinery. Any natural calamity, big risk, transportation, inventory loss, product damage cost, software cost, application, everything will be there. And then if the government policies change and all that, there will be a lot of tussle with the local state government, like the case of Maruti, which happened in Bengal. So he had invested a lot of money and suddenly the policies of the state government changed and he had to wind up his manufacturing unit from there and shift to Gujarat. Because this all politics goes on in India. Because you are maintaining such a big godown. So it's not so easy to run this inventory based e-commerce site. Alibaba does not have any inventory at all. He says that I am not going to sell even a single product. The manufacturers are directly going to sell in my website. He goes to the manufacturer, he creates an ID password for them, tells them to log in into Alibaba.com as an administrator, sub-administrator, limited rights, upload your products online, sell them online. Just pay me 2% of the sale value. That is what is my fee. And he has got millions of manufacturers registered with him. The same model we can also maintain it. Post you have installed the e-commerce site, here you will have to add the users. This model is not yet full-fledged in India. Partially some sites are running like that. But here the only thing you would require is to approach the manufacturers, get them converted in your site. I don't find any reason why they would refuse. Because their regular business is running. This is something extra sales what they can get. Now the advantage is 100 manufacturers you go, each of them uploads 10 products. In real time, your site will be having 1000 products updated with the new images, with the price and everything. So this is like a decentralized model where you are not hiring employees for uploading all the products. Everybody is working from their own location. So after an e-commerce site is theme is installed, you'll be finding one more option here, assign the role. So there in that drop down you have to select as shop manager. Then like how we are logging in as an administrator, they can also log in into your website. But they won't find all these options. Only one option will be shown to them, products. Add product, orders, income, expenditure, everything will be shown to them. Only relevant to their own products. You have the master right, you can see everything. So manufacturers are directly going to upload the products into your website. Start with small products, small scale industry. Like say belts, shoes, personalized gifts, wallets, goggles, contact lenses, pens, stationery, return gifts. So this kind of manufacture you'll find even in small areas rather than going with the large scale businesses. Gradually you can scale up. Like this all over the country you can do it. 24 by 7 the shop is open for them. No entry cost at all. They have to just upload the pictures, artificial jewelry. Advantage to you is this is only your one time hard work to get the manufacturers on board. Later your business will be all running on autopilot. Every day hundreds and thousands of product prices will change. You don't have to worry. Everybody is going to update their own product price based on the raw material cost or whatever. It is their headache. They know which is the best price online. They themselves are going to compare from e-commerce sites like Flipkart, Snapdeal and all that. Why do you worry about it? If they are not getting the sales, they'll find out the solution for it. You are only providing them a platform like Uber to sell their products online, and there is no point why they would refuse it. So this would require a team. It's not a single man job, of course. Team is required. You have to go door to door to each of these manufacturers. Start with small scale manufacturers. Get them on board. And then once they are fully satisfied, tell them, ask themselves, who is another manufacturer that I can approach? He will give you reference. So then you go to him, his associated partner. You get him on the board. Again ask him, please give me some more reference. Like this only in the chain system it spreads. 1:2, 2:4, 4:8. This model has got a very high scalability. The biggest advantage of online business is the scalability. I want to double my business, offline business. Let's say that I have a cement factory and I want to do double the business. I need to have double the cost for the factory expansion. But that is not the case here. If my business model in my Amirpet is doing well, for all over Hyderabad also my cost is same. Only a server upgradation cost, that is very nominal. That will depend upon visitors rather than how much of area you are targeting. If that is good, then I'll take it to all Telangana state. That is good, then all over India. I don't have to set up my offices anywhere. Everything is virtual. The lightest asset model. Alibaba is of this model. Today valuation of Alibaba is in line with Amazon. 160, 170 lakh crore is the value of Alibaba. Unimaginary valuation, can't even believe it. When free, do read the story of Jack Ma, very inspirational story. The founder of Alibaba. The name itself says he was not so optimistic about the project at all. When Amazon was started, it was started with a table and two chairs. That is the only asset it had. But he could foresee how the future of shopping is going to be. Today, they are the giants. Single company valuation is the entire GDP of India. More than that. And no physical assets, only virtual assets. That's it. So in this way, you could maintain even a business site. Once that your site is designed with some pages, you have shortlisted your keywords. Privacy policy is important, both from ads perspective as well as from SEO perspective. What is privacy policy? Say example, this is one of the website of my client. Like this. You got to provide that what and all data of the users you are taking and how are you going to use it. You got to commit them that the contact details will not be shared elsewhere, or maybe you are having some return policy. If the product is damaged, in how many days you would like to return, are you going to pay the courier cost and all that if it is an e-commerce site. So depending upon the type of site, it has got their own privacy policy. But mainly this page is to do with the private data what the user is giving in your website. While registration and all that, you got to commit him that his details are going to be safeguarded. So this page is now mandatory. You apply AdSense even with a 10-year-old site. If this page is missing, you won't get the approval. He will clearly mention you there that the privacy policy page is missing. Even for SEO, I told you this is an important page. So it is a must. But how do we write so much of content? I did not type it. There are ready-made content available. Just if you give 4-5 fields, they are going to design the content automatically. For an e-commerce site, ready-made privacy policy content is there. Then for a regular image-based site, there is a privacy policy page. So in Google, when you search, you'll find so many sites. It will ask you for your company name, your contact details. Example. All this you got to put. Do you use cookies? I'm just giving some random values. That's it. This is what you need to place it into the backend. This is HTML code. Anything you want to add in extra manually, you can do that. So this page is also must. So once that your page is designed, your site is ready with some pages, then is the time you begin with SEO. So from here on, we are going to begin with the SEO part. Before at all I begin with any step, understand what is the weakness of any search engine. Every search engine aims at 2 points in SEO. Whether it is Google, Yahoo, Bing, there's a common weakness for every search engine, and you got to play with their weakness. They all want to see two things in the web page. One is dedicated page. You got to be 100% focused. You got to be 100% dedicated to a web page. Meaning, if someone is searching for first birthday wishes, you'll come across pages which are giving you all-in-one information. First birthday wishes, second birthday wishes, third birthday wishes in a single page. Search engines never love those pages. Rather, they would love a page which is only writing about first birthday wishes. Birthday quotes meant for 1-year babies. Dedicated page. So always create dedicated page with regard to the keyword. Very, very important point. The golden rule for SEO. Someone is searching for sports shoes. Display only that page where sports shoes are there. Don't mix it with casual shoes. Someone is searching for men's sports shoes. Only display that page where men's sports shoes are there. Don't mix it with women's sports shoes. Someone is searching for yellow sports shoes for men. You may be having only 4 such models. Only display those 4 models, but don't bug the user with the other models. That is what a search engine wants. So remain focused, remain dedicated with regard to keyword, no extra information outside the keyword. You think that, sir, along with first birthday wishes, let me provide second birthday wishes also? No, you are diverting. A diverting information page is the least priority for a search engine to be given the rank. So remain as much focused as possible. Second point. Give elaborated information on the same by covering as many subtopics as possible. So a user is searching for first birthday wishes. Point number 1 says that I need to create a page where only dedicated quotations are there for 1 year babies. Then I need to properly structure it. So what I'll do in that page, let me provide some 5 to 10 quotations meant for 1 year babies. Below that I have to provide divisions. First birthday wishes for baby boy, some 10 quotations under it. First birthday wishes for baby girl, another 10 quotations. Like this you need to divide the information. Such pages become the first choice for the search engines to be placed on the top. Even if you look at from a user perspective, even if you were searching for a keyword and you come across a page where what you have want only that is there, nothing extra, and it is properly classified, you would love to visit those pages. Your page should become as such that it becomes a dead end page for the visitor. After opening your page, the visitor should not go back to Google. All this activity will be monitored by the search engines. So they see that you are ranking maybe 4th or 5th, but after opening your page, the user doesn't go back to the search engine. It means that your page is where the visitors are satisfied the most. You maintain these 2 points, automatically they'll be satisfied. The visitor will be satisfied, the search engine will be satisfied. A user is searching for Vivekananda quotes. I should only provide Vivekananda quotes. I should not provide Mother Teresa quotes. Should not provide Gandhiji quotes. Maybe in other page, but not in that page for which I am doing SEO with regard to the keyword. So some 5-10 popular quotations of Vivekananda I put it. Then I classify my information. Vivekananda inspirational quotes for youth. Some 5 dedicated quotations for youth. Vivekananda inspirational quotes for women. 5 dedicated quotations for women. Vivekananda inspirational quotes for success. Like this, if you look at into the Google Keyword Planner tool, you'll get to know all the branches of the keyword for which the searches are going on. Always present the information in this way. Both these points are very, very important, should and must. In fact, everything that we do in SEO will revolve in these 2 points. The entire SEO is based on these 2 foundation, these 2 points foundation. So remain only exactly on the keyword, page by page, and then stretch that information as much as possible like a chewing gum. On that topic itself, we have to stretch it as much as possible. We are going to see some examples while we go into SEO. So with this note, I end the class. It's already time. Monday onwards, we are going to begin with the first step of SEO. So you've got 2 days of time, today and tomorrow. Make your website ready. Create at least 1-2 pages with regard to the keyword, so that whatever I do from Monday onwards, parallelly you are going to implement those changes in your own website. That's all from my side. For any kind of questions, make use of the chat window or the audio control.